In today's class, I am going to explain important concept performance tuning. So here performance tuning represents how to improve the performance. Suppose if your session is running more than 1 hour in real time, so which is not acceptable. So you need to identify where the bottleneck is. So there are two ways to identify where the bottlenecks are. Sometimes you are going to place multiple sessions within your workflow. Suppose if your workflow is taking long time, just you need to go through your workflow timings. Along with that, within the workflow, what are all the tasks you have, so which task is taking more time, you need to check and you need to reduce the time. So there are two ways to identify bottleneck. So here bottleneck means problems. One is using session log. Using session log, you have one attribute here, thread busy percentage. So for reader you have one reader thread, for writer you have one writer thread, and for transformations you have one transformation thread. So if any of the thread busy percentage is greater than 100, then you can see at that place there is a bottleneck. If source reader thread busy percentage is greater than 100, then that means source reading is slow. If thread busy percentage is greater than 100 on writing side, that means writing is slow. If it is at a particular transformation level, it will show you transformation name also. Then there is a bottleneck at that place. This is one approach. Another approach Informatica suggested is traditional approach. So first assume there is a bottleneck on target. I will show you in the session log. First approach also. So second one is assume there is a bottleneck on target initially. So how do we confirm? So we are assuming there is a bottleneck on the target. Suppose in your mapping, if you are using a target table, target as table, replace table with file with same structure. Replace table with file. Earlier with the table, it is taking 1 hour time. Now, if you replace with the file structure, now it is taking half an hour time. Then you can say there is a bottleneck on the target. So if there is no bottleneck on the target, call it as Informatica recommended approach. This one. Suppose if there is no bottleneck on the target, then there might be a chance of bottleneck on the source. Check on source side. So how do we check on source side? After source qualifier, immediately put a filter. After source qualifier, immediately put a filter and set condition false. What happens? Whatever read the rows, immediately it will drop the rows. So earlier, the remaining things you should not disturb. Remaining things keep it as it is. So earlier the mapping is running 1 hour. Now also running 1 hour. That means there is a source bottleneck. Why? Because earlier 1 hour is running with all other transformations and other writing also. Now also it is taking almost 1 hour. That means your reading is slow. That means there is a bottleneck in the source. If there is no bottleneck on the source and targets, another piece transformations. So in this way you can identify where the bottleneck is. First assume bottleneck on target, check, replace with flat file and run. If there is no bottleneck on the target, go for source. If there is no bottleneck on the source, then third option is under transformations. Suppose bottleneck exists on target. So what do you do? What do you do? What are the next steps? Bottleneck So you found that there is some problem with the target, then what steps you will do? First step, check any indexes exist on target table. Check any indexes exist on target table or not. So how do you check any indexes exist on a particular table or not? So there is a query, select start from all underscore indexes where table name is equal to employee dimension. So when you fire this query, you will get results. That means there are indexes available. So if index is available on the target, what you need to do is, as a performance improvement point of view for this one, drop indexes before loading. Indexes before loading data into target and recreate indexes after data. This is one of the performance improvement technique on target set. In interviews also they will ask a question. So on target set there is a problem. What you will do? So first of all, I will check any indexes exist on target table or not. If any indexes are there, I will drop indexes and after load completion, I will recreate the indexes. So this one you can do using pre-SQL and post-SQL. I will show you how to do that. Double click on your folder. Take any session, go to mapping tab. So select your target. So here you can see pre-SQL, post-SQL options. Pre-SQL means before loading data into your target table, you want to do something. So what I want to do, I want to drop the index. This is the syntax. Drop index, index name. You can drop multiple indexes one after another. You can write multiple statements in pre-SQL. So in post-SQL, after loading data, we are going to recreate index. Create index, index name on table name of column. So like that, if you have how many indexes, you can write those many indexes. So in this way, you can improve the performance on data loading part. This is one of the first technique. Suppose if there are no indexes or no constraints, then second performance improvement technique, go for bulk load option. Bulk load option. So here, select your target. So by default bulk, in real time, if there are any indexes or constraints, generally we set normal. If there are no indexes or no constraints, then go for bulk load option. So when you select bulk load option, it will bypass the redo session log. So whenever writing data into Oracle, it will write into two places, so your original data file and another one redo log file for recovery purpose. When you go for bulk load option, it won't write into the redo log, it will write into only one place. The disadvantage of bulk load is there is no recovery, but the performance is very high. So second option, bulk load option, you need to set target load type as bulk load. Still performance is not improved on target side. There is one more option, increase the commit interval. By default the commit interval is 10,000. If you are loading huge amounts of data, crores of data, then go for properties, see commit type target, commit interval 10,000, you can increase to 50,000. Then number of commit intervals will reduce and you can improve the performance. Third step, increase the commit interval. Still performance not improved. Then you can go for database partitioning. So another one also there. This one generally don't encourage people, but there is one more option. You can ask your DBA to increase the extent size. Generally people won't do. So why I am telling increase the extent size means the writer thread writes data into the target based on your extent size. If your extent size is big, it will write your data huge at a time. So these are different possible options on target side. Any questions so far?
Yeah.
So if there is a bottleneck on source side, so you already identified there are some problems on source side. Source reading is slow. So first step, what you need to do is take the query from database and fire it on the database. So go to source qualifier, apply generate SQL, then you will get a query. If already you have overridden, then you will take that query and fire it on the database. Check how much time it is taking. Same time is taking or different time is taking. So same time is taking almost why? Because when you run through source qualifier or directly run the query on the database also, it will take almost same time. Just you can cross check that one first option. Then what you can do is create indexes on where condition columns of the query. Suppose my thing is like this. So let's is equal to employee number employee number is equal to 100 and number of city is equal to correct. So assume this is your source query. So here in the source query you can apply indexes on where condition columns. What are the columns here? Gender, city, employee number. You can apply indexes to improve the query performance. So in Oracle we have three different types of indexes. B-tree, second one bitmap, third one function based index. So generally when we go for B-tree index means high distinct values. If you take employee number, high distinct values. When we go for bitmap means low distinct values. If you have even 2 lakhs rows also, if you apply distinct values, you will get MRF for gender column. So in such cases, for low distinct values go for bitmap, for high distinct values go for B-tree index. So when you go for function based index, when you are applying predefined functions on a column, so approximately in such cases, you need to go for function based index. So here I am going to define B-tree index, create index name on table name of column name. What is the column name? Employee number. So in this way you can create bit-tree index. How to create a bitmap? So syntax little varies. Create bitmap you need to specify, and then index name or table name of column name.
When do we use B3 and when do we use bitmap?
B-tree we go for high distinct values in a column. Cardinality is high. High distinct values.
That means
Bitmap
most of the records are unique.
low distinct values. Sorry,
That means most of the records in table are
your voice
unique.
is.
Then will
I could not hear you.
uh, when you say high distinct values,
Mm-hmm.
it does it mean that most of the records in table are unique?
Correct.
Okay.
See, if you take low distinct values for gender, see you have 2 lakh rows. What are the low distinct values for 2 lakh rows? M or F? Only 2, right?
Yeah.
So in such cases, go for bitmap. Max you can go
Okay.
for 10 distinct values or 20 distinct values up to. Not more
Okay.
than that. So function based index. Create index, index name on table name of column name, right? We need to specify function name also. So in this way, you can apply different kinds of indexes on your source code and run the query again after creation of indexes. Your query performance will increase. Suppose if your query performance is not increased, then you will have one more option: analyze your tables. So there is a command: analyze table name, compute statistics. So if you have 5 tables, analyze those 5 tables. So when you analyze the table, internally Oracle Optimizer prepare optimal execution plan. So what it will gather is how many rows are there, how many blocks, what are different distinct values, what is the max row length. It will calculate everything. Automatically it will store in data dictionary tables. Using the data dictionary tables, Oracle Optimizer prepares optimal execution plan. So indexes you can create not only for where condition columns. If you have joint condition columns also, you can create indexes for joint condition. And also check it should not go to any Cartesian products. Check proper filter conditions, joints exist or not. Check proper filters and joints exist on your source code. There is one more option also there, hints. Generally we don't prefer this option, hints. So if you have complete idea on the data, then only you can go for hints. Why? Because if you don't use correctly, then the performance degrades. It reflects in opposite direction. Instead of going for good way, it will go for bad way also. So generally we write for select statements. So after select, you can see slash asterisk plus and then asterisk slash. Like this, you can see hints. So there are different types of hints. Suppose if you have 3 tables, you can order it. First join these 2 tables and then join with the other table. So using ordered hint. There are different types of hints. A, B, C. So give A, B, C. First it will join A, B and then it will join C. Sometimes you can force the hints all indexes also using these hints. So these are some different types of performance improvement techniques on source side. Any questions?
When do we use function-based index?
So if you are using any function in the where class, see approximately use it in your where class. If you use
Oh,
a predefined function with the column,
okay. And I didn't got this hint.
Mm-hmm.
What
Which one?
like I didn't understood that hints.
Sorry, you're not.
I did not understood that hints.
Hints. I said right. Suppose you are joining three tables, A, B, C. You want see by default it will take some order. Maybe it will join A with C and then A with B.
Okay.
Suppose if you know one table is very big and one table is very small. If you join those two tables first, you will get less rows. In the first join itself, you are filtering many rows. In such case, you
Mm,
go for ordered hint. But in future,
mm,
if it increases, then problems comes. So if
yeah.
you have complete idea on your application data, then you can go for hints. So
Okay.
you are manually forcing the optimizer take this path or approach. Okay.
Yeah. Mm,
So using hints, you can change the execution plan order.
okay.
So we have seen bottlenecks on target and bottlenecks on source. If there are no bottlenecks on targets and source side, then transformations. So only few transformations have optimization techniques, not all the transformations. So first of all, I will explain about aggregate. In aggregator, there are two optimization techniques. One is incremental aggregation, sorted input. Two things: sorted input and another one incremental aggregation. So before that, enter into transformation. See, I will show you first one also. Two ways to identify a like using session log. First of all, I will open the monitor. Take any session log. If you go to the end, you can see reader, writer, transformation. See thread. It is starting with name thread reader. This is reader thread. See what it is showing message. The total runtime was insufficient for any meaningful statistics. So that much fast it ran. So that's why you see the message. The total runtime was insufficient for any meaningful statistics. If you are having lakhs of rows, then you can see the thread busy percentages. You can see reader thread busy percentage. Similarly, writer thread. See here. You can see three threads. This is transformation thread. This is also transformation thread. So this is writer thread. So for each transformation and for each reader and writer, you can see the threads. Along with that, you can see busy percentages. A thread which is high, which is more than 100 busy percentage, then you can say at that place there is a bottleneck. In that way, you can identify. For small within minutes running sessions, you cannot see. You can see this message only. The total runtime was insufficient for any meaningful statistics. Any questions? So here, how sorted input increase the performance of aggregator. So you have 1 lakh rows in your source. Informatica cannot read 1 lakh source at a time. It will read block by block, maybe 1000 rows or 5000 rows, or it will fit 10,000 rows at a time. But the aggregator waits till all rows reach to aggregator. The aggregator transformation cannot perform any calculations till all rows reach to aggregator. The reason is simple. So you are doing the example group by and department number, and then you are applying sum of salaries. So first record you have department number 10, second record 20, Again fifth record 10. Again you might get 1 lakh record also department number 10. So the aggregator should wait till all 1 lakh records reach to aggregator. Then only it performs group by D number and then it performs sum. So if you send sorted data, so maybe in first 100 rows or 5000 rows, it will see department number 10, 10, 10, 20. Then immediately it will apply aggregate functions. Why? Because we already sorted data on department number. Already we have seen 20 also. That means immediately it will start performing calculations. So in this way it will improve performance. I will show you how you where you need to select that property. Hello. Hello. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, now.
Yeah, actually I lost the power, so I connected through mobile.
Oh,
So here I will show you another designer. So in the designer I will show you how to set sorted input option. So select aggregator. So when you double click on aggregator, go to properties tab, you can see here sorted input option. When you select this checkbox, you need to send sorted data to the aggregator, otherwise your session will fail. So remember, when you select sorted input, you need to you need to send sorted data. So on which port you want to sort on? Group by ports. So suppose if you have selected here D number, so you need to send sorted data on D number. So in the source qualifier itself, you can sort. Go to properties tab, apply generate SQL, order by D number. So in this way, you can send sorted data to the aggregator. If you don't send the sorted data to the aggregator, the session will fail. Any questions on sorted input? Okay. Second, another one, incremental aggregation. Suppose initially today you loaded 10, 2000, 10, 3000, and 4000. So what is the total amount? Sum of salaries 9000. So for tomorrow, I have added one more employee in department number 10 with 5000 salary. So if I use incremental aggregation concept, I can use existing 9000 plus 5000. So that means one time whatever you do aggregation, that will be stored internally in the form of cache files. So next time when you run, it will add to the existing values. That is incremental aggregation. Again, you need not do this way. 2000 plus 3000 plus 4000. This is already we calculated 9000. Why we need to calculate again? 2000, 3000, 4000 plus. So if you select incremental aggregation, internally it will store in the form of aggregated values in the files, cache files. So next time you run, automatically it will add. But make sure next time you should send only this one. You should not send these things also. If you send again other things also, it will add. So your responsibility to send only new things. So you enable this option in the session level. Incremental aggregation. Under properties tab, you can see incremental aggregation. Select this option. So reinitializing aggregate cache. So suppose you want to run, you want to clear the cache. I said right. When you go for incremental aggregation, it will create a cache internally. So if you want to clear the cache, select reinitialize aggregate cache option. Otherwise, it will add to the existing thing only.
So according to the need, we have to select either the sorted input or the incremental, right?
So you can select only one option, either sorted input or incremental aggregation. You cannot do both the things.
Oh,
So for joiner, we have also optimization techniques. So first optimization technique is take less number of rows as master and take huge number of rows as detail. So even though if you take in opposite direction, output is same, but performance degrades. If you take less number of rows as master, internally it creates a cache. So if you take less number of rows as master, it will quickly build the cache and it will improve the performance. Second option, sorted input. So here also same logic, sorted input. What happens sorted input? So one is you are considering as master, one is you are considering as detail. Suppose if you want to compare, suppose you have master data like this 10, 20. So your detail data is 10, 20, 30. Can I apply immediately join? I cannot apply. Maybe 1 lakh row also contains department number 10. I have to wait till all rows reach it to joiner. So if you sort and send the data, immediately you can perform join operations. So here you can see sorted input option in the joiner also. So double click, go to properties. So here one option sorted input. Select this option. When you select sorted input option, you need to send sorted data to the joiner, similar to aggregator. Otherwise, your session will fail. So in aggregator, you want sort data on group by ports. Here, you want to sort data on join condition columns. What are the join condition columns? D number. If it is a flat file, you need to use sorter transformation. In this way, you can improve the performance of a joiner by selecting sorted input. Any questions so far?
no.
So we have lookup also. So lookup, go for SQL override, lookup override. You know from the source you are getting always department number 10. So take in the lookup also only department number 10 employees. So why you want to take all other departments? You have 1 lakh departments. So go for lookup override into the performance in a lookup. Suppose if you have multiple conditions greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, the sequence order is important. So here first equal to and then greater than and then greater than or equal to. I will show you how this condition. So select lookup. The conditions order also important. The lookup. Go to condition tab. So here you can give multiple conditions. So one is less than. This is fine. First always should be equal to and then followed by greater than, less than or equal to. If you move like equal to condition into the end, then performance degrades. So make sure the condition order should be proper. And within the lookup we have different types of caches. Static cache, dynamic cache, and another one persistent cache. Static cache means once lookup is built. So in SCD1 or SCD2 what we are doing, we are taking data into the lookup. Your lookup data won't change during session run. That is static cache. Dynamic cache means when you are loading data into your target table, you can update your cache. That is dynamic cache. I have already sent the link for dynamic cache and XML. Just to go through that one, you can see I have provided one example also for dynamic cache when we go for dynamic cache. So persistent cache. Suppose if you are using same lookup in multiple mappings, why you want to build the same cache again and again? So you have 5 mappings. You are going to use the same lookup. Then go for persistent cache. Persistent cache means first time in a run you are going to create a cache, and then the same cache you are using across all mappings. That is known as persistent cache. So for that one in the session level you need to assign a name for a cache in a particular mapping. So daily you are going to run all the mappings. So every time first one only you need to refresh the cache. So select lookup. So here you go to mapping tab, select your lookup. So here option is there. Yeah. Lookup cache persistent. Select this option. When you select this option, it will enable two things. These two things. Cache file name prefix. What is the file name you want to give ABC? I want to whatever the name you want. And for first session only you need to select recache from lookup source. For remaining all sessions, just you need to define select persistent cache and give file name prefix. That's it. So for first session, extra thing is recache from lookup source. Why? Because today data is constant. Tomorrow data might be changed in the lookup table. So tomorrow first time when you are running for first session, you enable recache from lookup source. Remaining all you should not check this one. So cache file name prefix, lookup persistent cache. Remaining all sessions you need to select only these two properties. Lookup cache persistent and cache file name prefix. Only for first one, recache from lookup source. Any questions on persistent cache? Okay. We have router, filter. So for these things, optimization is less, but there is a chance. Suppose here you have like this city name in the table. So you have one more column, city code. Aggregate city code 100. So in router or filter, if there is a possibility, go for numeric comparisons instead of character comparison. Go for this one. City code is equal to 100 instead of going for city name is equal to 100. Always numeric comparisons are faster than character comparisons. So if there is a flexibility you have, if you don't have city code, there is no other option. You have to go for character comparison only. But if there is a chance, go for always numeric comparisons. It will improve performance. Any questions? Some expression. Expression of the performance improvement is less, but sometimes there is other chances. I will show you. So like this, they have given different logics for different ports. So you are going generally what you will do. This is you will define as one output port. This will you will define as one output port. This will you will define as one output, and you perform calculation. If you observe deeply, there is some common logic exist. That is, a plus b into c plus d. Here also a plus b into c plus d. Here also a plus b into c. Why you want to calculate these many number of times? Go for variable ports. In the variable port, calculate one time. A plus b into c plus d. So apply variable ports all here. V here also. So in this way, using variable ports, you can increase the performance of expression. Not all the cases, some chances. Any questions so far? So only few transformations have catches. So those the transformations are expressions no catch, filter no catch, router no catch, aggregator you have catch, sorter you have catch, rank you have catch, next lookup you have catch, next stored procedure no catch, and so aggregator catch, filter no, router no, normalizer no, rank catch, update strategy no, joiner also catch. Source qualifier no, expression no, sequence generator also catch existent for sequence of numbers. Stored procedure no lookup. So this is a cache is a little bit different for sequence generator. So internally here you have two caches, a data cache and index cache for all transformations. Data cache, index cache, except sorter. Only sorter has data cache. Only one transformation, sorter has data cache. So internally it will store .dat file, .idx file, index cache means ID. So aggregator, if you take the data cache contains aggregated values, output ports. Index cache contains group by ports. If you go for a rank port you can see index cache, output ports you can see data cache. If you go for a lookup condition columns go to the index cache, output ports go to the data cache. If you go for joiner, condition columns go to the index cache and output ports go to the data cache. So only one transformation, sorter transformation has a data cache. All output ports go to the data cache. So just in interviews they might ask a question, what are internal caches means you can explain data and index cache at least. What the data cache contain, what the index cache contain. So we have seen all sites. So we have seen sources, targets, transformations. Within a mapping, those are all the possibilities. You can see only sources, targets, transformations. Still, our performance is not increased. We can do on the session level also performance improvement, but this is not recommended. There is a possibility session level also you can improve the. So you can increase two things here: DTM buffer size and buffer block size. So if you increase these things, right, you are taking more memory. Then other people's other environment, other people or other project sessions will go to waiting state. That's why informatic admin people don't encourage. By default, session will decide how much memory required based on sources targets. So if you observe session log also, it will write initially. So how much memory required. So get session log. See if you see here aggregator, index cache size, data cache size. So based on required thing, it will increase automatically. So where your cache files is stored, yes, index file is. So in this way it created under cache directory. So once your session succeeds, then automatically will be, these files will be erased or deleted. See, this much is allocated. Total buffer size, nothing but DTM buffer size for this session and buffer flag size. So default buffer block size is 65,536 bytes. So DTM buffer size will vary based on number of sources and targets in your mapping. So I will show you where you need to change. So in the session level, go to properties tab. So here you see DTM buffer size is by default auto. Auto means the integration service or Informatica server will decide how much size is required. You can increase. So first time when you run the session, you see this much bytes required. So calculate into MBs or GBs, give double or triple to improve the performance of the session. So suppose that is taking 100 MB, give 300 MB. The value entered is not valid for memory attributes. You should not give space. So you can increase the DTM buffer size. DTM buffer size means overall per source, target, transformations, total memory we are giving. DTM means data transformation manager. So, and once you give in data buffer block size, you need to give in config object. So here, see default buffer block size by default auto. I said right around 65,536 bytes. You can increase here also. So if you increase these two, your performance is high, but you have to make sure. So these two settings you can do in the session DTM buffer size and buffer block size. Then your performance will increase. Buffer block size means the number of rows at a time it can hold in the block. So suppose you have 1 lakh rows in the source. 1 lakh rows at a time cannot read. Informatica can read block by block. If you increase the block size, it will read more number of rows at a time. So then performance increases. So if you want to learn more in depth, see the DTM buffer size should be 10 times of buffer slack size defined in the. So in that way you need to do it. DTM buffer size should be at least 10 times. So give 10 MB then. 10 times of buffer block size. DTM buffer size should be. So if you want to learn more information on what is DTM, everything, go to help, contents, type DTM. See buffer memory, buffer size. So what is DTM? So you can read here. So you have to know DTM buffer size. So here tuning, you can see tuning DTM buffer size. See what is DTM, data transformation manager. So what are the operations it will do? So you can it creates a session log, validates sources and targets, code values. So everything you will get whatever you want on DTM. So read all these things if you have time.
For all the feedback, we have to just follow the help contents, right?
Sorry.
So for all the, I mean, theory and explanation.